Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Fine. We have only 23 people today. With me 24. Okay. Any update on the assignments, or do you have any meetings with Jyoti or your leads yesterday?
No, sir, they was called us and we are sending in them in WhatsApp.
Yes, sir. Vishnu WhatsApp, sir.
Okay. What WhatsApp? Is it for feedback or the assignment?
Assignment, sir.
Assignments.
Okay. Fine. Okay. You sent all the documents to them, right? So all the assignments are completed from everyone.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Anyone pending?
Yes, sir.
Completed.
Anyone pending? Sorry, Devi Divya, your voice is breaking.
Sir, yesterday I got to know, no, sir, so that's why I need some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I completed 2 assignments. Can you please give me 2 days?
Send out those documents by tomorrow, Divya. Okay, you have today and tomorrow time.
Okay, okay.
Anyone
you, sir.
else?
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Suman.
Sir, I done 5 assignments on yesterday, and tomorrow I'll done 2 days.
Okay. Anyone else?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Pravalika.
Sir, I have done yesterday twice, sir. Remaining I will do today, sir, and I will send by end of today, today.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I have a 7 completed.
Mm-hmm. One more pending, huh?
Yes, sir. I send in a lead, sir.
Okay, that one by today end of the day, complete it and send it to your lead again.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I had completed all the tasks, but I didn't get any call regarding to this.
What is that?
I had completed all the tasks, but I didn't get any call to I want to send this folder.
To your lead they are sending, right, in WhatsApp. So even you can send it to your lead in WhatsApp, the document.
Okay, sir.
Madhavi.
Yes, sir. I have completed all the assignments. Except me.
You completed all the assignments yesterday?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Srinivas?
Hi, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, I already sent it, sir. Ma'am.
Okay. So almost all the folks completed their assignments then. Okay. So rest of the people.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, I have no laptop, sir, but I write assignments in mobile, sir. In
Okay.
Excel document.
Okay. Can you share the document in WhatsApp to your lead?
It's already sent,
You
sir.
shared, okay, fine then. Okay, let me get that. I'll talk to Jyoti or your representative today, and I'll try to get that information. Once I get that, I'll share those documents what you have done, and we will discuss about the status of those documents. By the way, anyone have any questions while designing the test case? Any questions or any suggestions also fine.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I have a doubt on buy Crocs sandals on online. Purchase the sandals where the brand name will be Crocs means we should buy the Crocs on that name brand online or on any app, Amazon or Flipkart.
Any application. I didn't specify
Yes.
any application there, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you can take any application.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Sir.
Even if you go to Crocs website directly, there also you can purchase.
Okay. Okay. Sir. Thank you.
And that's also an online purchase only. But here, the difference between our regular applications like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, all these, when compared to these applications, that Crocs website is having only that particular brand. Remaining website is having one or two more steps extra here. You need to go for the search category and you need to select the brand, and that filter will be applied and the results will be displayed. That kind of things you have to do it, right? So this is the extra things that you have to in other applications.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any suggestions or any inputs? No suggestions too? At least if you can tell me like this document can be provided this with this information, or this document can have this kind of column, this document may have represented like this. So even that suggestion is also welcome. If you don't have, I'll move forward with other concept today. Yeah. Fine. 1 second. Let me share my screen.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, you said that we should purchase a product by using net banking or credit card, no, sir? Should we start, if we are going to purchase a product in Amazon, should we start from starting steps like open Amazon or click login details? Should we
Yes.
consider all that
Yes.
to purchase a product by net
Yes.
banking or it?
Yes, this is a new test case, right? So you have to mention all the steps. Otherwise, you can design another test case for login, sign up, login, and then sign up and login. And then you can just point those test cases here. Like to log into the application, please refer so-and-so test case, and you can continue with the remaining steps.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Okay. Let's start with test case design techniques today. So how the techniques can be used in order to design the test case. Let me Is it visible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, fine. So test case design techniques. So what is meant by test case design techniques, and what are all the techniques that we have for test case designing part? How many techniques that we can have? Okay, so test case design techniques. So there are the techniques which can be followed here. The techniques means the process that we can use in order to design effective test cases is nothing but test case design techniques. It is not something like a technical kind of stuff or something that we can say here, but how you are going to design the how you are going to design the test case if you have some process. Okay, how you are going to design the test case based on the process availability, and how can you use these techniques in order to design different types of test cases based on the functionality. So all these kind of factors can be included here whenever we are talking about test case design techniques. One of the most interview point of view question, this is one of the most important interview point of view question. So let's talk about the different techniques that we have here. So basically there are 4 techniques we can say. Everyone used to say only 3, but added to that there are 4 techniques we can say. So those 4 techniques are boundary value analysis, which is nothing but BVA, equivalence class partitioning, error guessing, last one is defect ratio. There are 4 techniques that we have here. Equivalence class partition, boundary value analysis, equivalence class partition, error guessing, defect ratio. So what is meant by boundary value analysis? Let's see one by one. So with the use of boundary value analysis, how can we design a test case? With equivalence class partition, how can we design a test case? Error guessing, defect ratio. Let's see. Boundary value analysis. Anyone have any idea, any inputs? No?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Let me tell you. So what is meant by boundary value analysis? What is meant by boundary? Boundary means there is some line, there is some point where we are going to reach to that particular point. But here we are talking about boundary value analysis. There is certain point where we are going to talk about, or where we are going to analyze about inbound and outbound. So whatever the line that we are going to have, we are going to think, or we are going to analyze beyond that, or we are going to analyze inside to that boundary, or we will be on that boundary. So how this gap is going to fill? Like So let's say if I can say the value 0. So this is a generic example. Even when you search it in Google, you are going to get this information. But still, this is one of the point where you can understand that the term called boundary very easily. Okay.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Am I not audible to remaining also?
You're audible.
Audible, sir.
Okay. Maybe can you please check the network? If it is for everyone, let me know. I can at least change my network.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So boundary value analysis. Whenever we talk about that boundary value analysis, so boundary means there is some line where we are going to mark it as a point. If we cross that point, it is inside the boundary. If we are on that particular line, then we are calling it as a on boundary. But here, as we are considering one example to understand what is meant by the boundary values of certain number, we are considering a number called 0. So what are the boundaries of 0? What are the boundaries of any number will have the respective boundaries. If you can take 1, what are the boundaries of 1? If you can less than it,
0.
then the boundary will be 0. If you can greater than it, boundary will be 2. If you can consider 0, the boundary of zeros will be -1, and the boundaries of another boundary will be +1, right? So it depends on the value that you are going to consider when you are talking about boundary value analysis. So in detail, if you are going to get, if you want to understand at the test case level, how it is impacting on the test case level, what kind of techniques that we are talking about boundary value analysis as part of representation. How can we consider this boundary value analysis to design the test case? On what basis we are going to design that? So to understand this, let's go back to 2 sessions before what we discussed. In one of the session we discussed positive and negative test cases. Anyone can you guys please explain what is positive test case and what is negative test case?
Giving a positive input and to pass the test case is positive. Giving a negative test case to pass the test case is called.
Don't use positive and negative terms while defining. Without that, what terms we can use?
Positive means
Okay.
it is valid, sir.
Valid credentials.
Negative test case means it is invalid.
Suppose, okay, if we are going to give invalid details, what is going to happen? Some alert messages will display on the screen. Even that alert message displaying will be the expected output for us, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in that case, if we are going to consider that as an expected result, and if it is equals to actual result, what is happening, then it comes under, basically it comes under, if the main term will be for positive test case valid details, for negative test case invalid details. These are the main terms that we usually used while designing the test case. But whenever we are talking about the expected result and actual result, so all are positive only. Why? Because even if we are going to give invalid details, the output, the expected output will be the alert message that we are going to see. That is already we expected, right? If we are expecting already, then that comes under the expectation only. Expectation will be equals to actual what is going to happen. Then there is no defect for us in that case. Okay, it's just a reminder for you how this positive and negative test case works in the real time. But why I'm asking this question, positive and negative test case, while talking about boundary value analysis? So let's see how this boundary value analysis can be used for designing the test case with respect to the positive and negative kind of thing that we are talking about. Okay, suppose there are few cases where we are going to design positive test case and negative test case. These kind of positive and negative test case designing process that we are going to follow, this will be considered as a boundary value analysis. Let's say, for example, if I have a if I have a test case, let's say, for example, an employee who joins a company. Okay, let me tell you one real-time example. So usually this government jobs notification will be released, okay, on random days. Okay, if you can go through the notification, they'll provide you they'll provide you few details. One is like age, second one will be salary slab, third one will be level. Okay, like these details, they are going to release it in the notification. If you consider an employee, okay, an employee kind of scenario, so the company is going to accept the employee age in between 18 to minimum 18 years should be there for every individual. Less than 18 years, no one is allowed to do the job. So we are considering an employee whose age should be in between 18 to 28. Okay, this is my case. Okay, write a test case to save the employee information in our database, where the employee age should be in between 18 to 28. So based on this, how can we design a test case? What are valid test cases and what are invalid test cases?
Below 18 is invalid and 18 to 28 is valid. 8 is also invalid.
Exactly. So here we can list down then. So valid. Okay, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. These are valid. So if the person age is equals to 18, you are eligible to enter into our database. If the person age is equals to 22, you are eligible to enter into our database. In this case, what is invalid then?
Below 17, above 20.
Below 18, above 28. Right? These two are invalid cases. So what are the boundaries? What are the boundaries that we are going to have here?
18 to 28.
18 to 28 are the boundaries. That means
17, 29.
Main boundaries are 18, 28. If you are considering less than that, then 17 will be another less boundary, inbound, and 29 will be out of the bound. So where these two will become the invalid cases and these will become the valid cases.
Valid.
As we are depending on the age, whenever you are designing the test case, what will be the main criteria that you are going to calculate the age? Date of birth along with the current data, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand my question? Whenever
Yes, sir.
whatever the date of birth this person is having to get this 18 years old, it will be validated with the current date only. Till today, if the person age is greater than 18 years, that means by today he has to complete his birthday and he has to cross 18 years. Then that person will be considered for the employment. If the person is still under 17 years, 12 months, 17 years, 11 months, 28 days, even he is not eligible, because our exact boundary will be 18 years only. If he cross 18 years 1 month or 18 years 0 month 1 day, then he is eligible. Okay, and even for 28 years also the same case that is applicable. We are going to consider the date of birth along with the current date. If he is going to by today, he is going to cross 28 years 0 months 1 day, then he is not eligible, because our system will not accept. That is the boundary for our system. If he is having exact 27 years 12 months 29 or 30th day, then he is eligible. That's how we are going to calculate in the backend or in the application itself. What is the date of birth of that particular employee? What is the current date? If we are going to make some difference between current date with date of birth, then it should be in between 18 to 28 only. Exact value should be 18 to 28. If it is less than 18 or greater than 28, then we are not allowing that employee to enter into our database. This is how boundary value analysis will be calculated. Even let's talk about the assignments what I have given. Boundary value analysis. How can we go with this boundary value analysis here? Here, let's say, okay. Here, let's talk about this case. How to purchase a product in online using debit or credit card or net banking. Okay, initial steps will be same. You're going to select a product, you're going to click on checkout, log into application, search for a product, select the product, add to cart, checkout, everything will be same. When you enter into the payment options, once you select debit card or a credit card, what is the boundary here? It will ask you to enter 16-digit number if you select debit card or credit card, right? 16-digit number will be your boundary. If you are going to enter less than 16 digits, it won't accept. If you are going to enter more than 16 digits, it won't accept. 16, only one boundary we have. We are not going to consider 16 digits means 1 to 16 numbers will be there. We can enter 1 to 16 numbers between any number. Will not accept less than 16. It will not accept greater than 16. What is the positive case and what is the valid case and what is the invalid case here? Valid case will be exact 16 numbers is the valid case. Invalid case will be less than 16 and greater than 16 will be the invalid case. Understood how the boundary value analysis works? So likewise, we are going to design the test cases in the real time. Any questions in this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Next one. Yeah, thank you. Next one, equivalence class partitioning. Equivalence class partitioning. So what is equivalence class partitioning? So how this equivalence class partitioning works in the real time whenever we are designing the test case? The name, the particular technique name itself is indicating, the particular technique name itself is indicating equivalence class partitioning. Equally partitioning, we are equally partitioning. So what is this equivalence class partitioning? How can we derive this particular equivalence class partitioning? Dividing particular test cases or particular functionality into equal parts. If we are going to divide particular functionality, if we are going to divide particular case into two equal parts, then we are considering it as a equivalence class partitioning. Just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry. Here in equivalence class partition, in equivalence class partitioning, we are not talking about the boundaries here. We are not talking about the boundaries. So in specifically the difference between boundary value analysis and equivalence class partition is boundary value analysis. We have to mandatory note on mandatory note. We have to design both boundary value analysis greater than the expected value and less than the expected value and equals to the value what we have decided. We have to design the test cases by using all the techniques, all the valid and invalid cases. Out of the boundary we have to design, in boundary we have to design, equals to the valid case we have to design. All these cases has to be designed in boundary value analysis. But in equivalence class partition, we are going to talk about whether it is valid or invalid. That's it. We are not going to talk about like enter the boundary value, enter greater than that. I have some background noise, 1 second. Sorry. Yeah. So equivalence class partitioning. So the name itself is indicating that equal parts of your test case. So you have only two sides here. We are not going to talk about boundaries. We are going to talk about what is the invalid value and what is the invalid value. That's it. So we are not talking about like less than this particular value or greater than this particular value or less than this particular search criteria or greater than this particular search criteria. No, what is valid case and what is invalid case. Only two parts will be there. Equally, we are going to distribute for equal prioritization for both invalid and valid case. So for example, let's say the above example only we can take. This above example only we can take. So here we are going to talk about each and every age criteria, 18 to 28, 18 valid, 19 valid, 20 valid, like that. In boundary value analysis, we are going to talk about every valid case here. But here in equivalence class partitioning, whatever the value user enters in between 18 to 28, that is a valid. Only one case will be there. And whatever the value user entered below 18 and greater than 28, then it's an invalid case. Only two things we are going to cover here. We are not going to talk about each and every specific case of that particular scenario. We will talk about only two cases, what is valid and what is invalid. Like as I mentioned during the starting of this session, 2 days before we discussed about positive and negative test case. If you enter valid login details, what is going to happen? If you enter invalid login details, what is going to happen? Just equivalence class partitioning. Equivalence class partitioning. Another example, another real-time example we can say here is our mobile verification OTP. Whenever you are trying to log in into your net banking portal, you'll get 6-digit OTP. You'll get 6-digit OTP. Any whatever the 6-digit OTP that you are going to get, if you enter all the 6 digits, then it's a valid case. If you enter less than 6 digits and greater than 6 digits, then it's an invalid case. Only two cases will be there. One is equals to 6 digit. Second one is less than or greater than or equals to 6 is a invalid. Understood how equivalence class partitioning works?
Yes, sir.
Only valid and invalid. Here valid and invalid along with boundaries. Along with boundaries. Next, error guessing. What is meant by error guessing? By saying the term, how can you understand what is error guessing?
Before executing the test case, any defect can be identified is called error guessing.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Error guessing. Okay. The name itself is indicating. So someone said like now before executing, guessing the error what we have. So exactly. The term itself is indicating error guessing is something like we are guessing the error what we are having. Sorry, my kid is crying. I went distracted sometime. Yeah. So error guessing, the definition or the term itself is indicating that we are guessing the error. So what is meant by error? Did you remember what is meant by error?
A mistake which can be identified developer stage. It's called
Mistake
a-
Find bugs.
No. 1 point.
Mistakes by table.
Defect, sir.
That's a defect. I'm talking about error.
Which can be identified by developer level, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct.
So the mistakes, programmatic mistakes, what we are having, whenever we execute those programs, we will come to know whether that program is executing or not. If that program is not executing properly, then we are considering that program is having some errors. So it's a programmatic mistakes what we have. Here, error guessing is something like it's a kind of programmatic thing as well as a experienced kind of thing. So maybe you heard sometimes whenever you are watching memes or whenever you are whenever you watched some videos in YouTube related to the project development or IT related kind of stuff. So a lot of people usually say that there is something like errors are not there in the application, but somehow I'm not able to achieve the functionality what I'm expecting, right? So that means there is some deviation in the program. Whatever the program that development team has designed, there is some deviation. But whenever we execute that program, the program is not giving error. At the same time, we are not thinking about the functionality. We are not analyzing about the functionality. If we execute this program, this output has to come. So if we understand that kind of functionality, then we are going to depend on the input and output. If developer is not going to observe the output and just seeing whether the program is executing or not. If the program is 100% successfully executed, then the functionality might be deferred, the functionality might be deviated. So in this case, whenever we are talking about, or whenever we are executing that functionality of an application, there might be a chance of guessing the errors because of the domain expertise and the experience what we are having here. Simple example I can tell you here. Suppose a fresher can join a job. Once after he or she can join, if we are going to give the application and ask them to test the application, what they'll do? They'll be completely blank and they don't know how to start and how to end up the testing activity. But somehow their lead or supervisor, if they can guide how to test the application, they can start working on that particular functionality and they can test it. Suppose if you are going to give the same application to the experienced people, they'll start immediately the testing activity and they know what needs to be tested and what needs to be reported, right? So in such cases, specifically, if you can observe these kind of cases, finding out the defect, so whatever the defects that we are having in the application, finding out those defects for the experienced employee is very easy when compared to fresher, because fresher will find out the defects, but it will take time to understand how this application gets started and what is the start point and what is the end point of this application to be tested. Here, why I'm talking about this example is there is an application where it is having phone number field, So how many digits phone number has to accept? 10 digits basically, right? So if you can give the same scenario or same functionality to the fresher, what they'll do? They'll enter 10 digits and they'll check whether this is working or not. But if you can give the same functionality to the experienced people or domain expertise, they won't enter 10 digits directly. They'll enter some random digits or special characters or spaces or zeros or some random numbers or more than 10 digits. They'll enter all these kind of negative cases because they have some guess. If we are going to enter such kind of data, we might get some errors. If we are going to enter lengthy data, we might get some errors. If we are going to enter some special characters, we might get some errors. These kind of areas where we are going to guess the errors from the application point of view, then it's called error guessing. And the final one, any questions in this one? Error guessing. Even when you are designing the test case, okay, in the test case point of view, how can we know that there are errors in this particular test case? Okay, after designing all the test cases, you have to guess whenever which test case might give some error, right? It might be sign up, or it might be something related to any test case in this list what we have. It might be any test case what we are going to have in this particular list. But still, guessing the error based on the test case is one of the good practice that you are going to have. You need to understand how this test case works. You need to understand how this test case works. You need to understand how this test case can be executed. You need to understand how this test case can work in the real time based on the functionality. Okay, based on the functionality. So whatever the test cases that you have decided in that particular list, you have to analyze, or you have to guess which test case can cause the error. So based on that error guessing technique, you have to execute that particular test case and you have to make sure if there is error or not. If you don't have error, that's fine. If you have an error, or if the functionality is completely deviating and it is not as per your expectation, then automatically you have to report that particular defect and make sure and make sure that defect is going to be tracked, and developer has to accept the defect. You should provide all the proofs. This is the test case I have executed, and this is the functionality that we are expecting, and this is how it is behaving actually in the real time. Any questions?
No, sir.
Last one is defect ratio. What is meant by defect ratio? There are a couple of definitions here we can discuss. One is defect density and second one is defect ratio. What is meant by defect density and what is meant by defect ratio? Defect density is nothing but the number of bugs or number of defects we have in a single functionality. Number of bugs or number of defects we are going to have in a single functionality is nothing but defect density. Defect density. So how many number of bugs? So let's say one single functionality may have 10 defects. One single functionality may have 20 defects. One single functionality may have 30 defects. This 30, the number that we are saying is nothing but defect density. Density is nothing but the way that we are going to test this functionality and to find out the defects. Defect ratio. So whatever the number of bugs that we are having, calculating what is the ratio, how much percentage of errors that, how much percentage of defects that we are having in this particular functionality. So defect, let me write it here. Excuse me. Number of defects or bugs we have in a single functionality. So here I'm using both the words defects and bugs because defects are being reported by us and bugs are being reported by bugs are being accepted by the development team. So whatever it might be, those are defects. Analyzing the ratio or percentage based on the number of defects. So for this we have some formula. I captured that formula. I'm not going to calculate regularly, but still we have this formula for defect ratio. Defect resolution success ratio is equals to total number of resolved defects minus total number of reopened defects divided by total number of resolved defects into 100. Let's say for example, total defects reported is equals to 100. Total defects resolved is equals to, let's say, 40. Okay, total defects reopened is equals to 10. Now if you want to calculate the formula defect ratio, if you want to calculate the formula, then what is this? Total number of resolved defects. What are the number of resolved defects? 40 minus reopened defects are 10. 40 minus 10. 40 minus 10 divided by 40 into 100. This will be the formula. This is the one we have, right? Total number of resolved defects. How many we have? 40. Total number of reopened defects. How many we have? 10. Divided by total number of resolved defects again. How many we have? 40 into 100. That means 30 by 40 into 100. You need to calculate this formula so that you can get the output. Understand?
Yes, sir.
It will be something like 0. Or it will be something like 30 or 40% you'll get. Depends on the formula calculation, you are going to get this information. So these are the techniques that we are having, and defect ratio is not something like where you are going to show it in a test case perspective, but it's a kind of testing technique that we can say. Black box testing technique we can say, but rest of the techniques what I'm saying here is something related to test case. Test cases. Okay, anyone have any questions, any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Now we'll have some query session or interactive session on the assignments what you have completed, and then I'll show that material maybe you haven't received, which I heard from few of the folks yesterday. I'll show the material today, what I have designed and what I have forwarded, and I'll let you know how this can be reviewed and how you can learn the concepts from that material. And meanwhile, I'll give you 4 minutes time. 9:06 now, 9:10 till. I'll be back by 9:10. You can just analyze what you have designed, and I'll pick random people in this group and we will discuss about these questions, and then we'll move forward to the material. Okay. So I'll be on mute. If you have any questions, please do let me know, and we will discuss about this queries, assignments, and then we'll move forward to the material. Okay. So can we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's start with Chandra Kumari Punugupati. Okay, so for this, sign up into Facebook. What are the techniques that we can use? Right, just now we discussed, right? So boundary value analysis, equivalence, class partition. So what are the techniques that we can use here? Chandra Kumari Punugupati. Your voice is not audible.
Not audible, my voice.
Yeah, it's audible now.
1 minute. Facebook sign up technique. First of all, go to the URL of the Facebook sign up.
No, which techniques we can use? Is it boundary value analysis or equivalence class partition?
Huh?
We discussed this one, right?
Yes, sir.
We discussed the techniques: boundary value analysis, equivalence class partition, error guessing, defect ratio. All these techniques we discussed just now. For this
Yes,
sign
sir.
up into Facebook, which technique we can use?
First of all, boundary values. That mobile number that have 10 members. And about 10 between these 10, this is valid detail. This is the boundary value.
One second. Can we enter number in between 1 to 10 digits? Will the application is going to accept that?
Yes, sir. Accept that application. But below 10 and above 10, that's not accepted.
Okay, in between 1 to 10,
Boundary.
if I'm going to enter only 3 numbers, will that accept?
No, sir. That's not accept.
Then which case it is?
That is boundary value, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Equivalence class partition then.
The equivalency participate is only valid and invalid values, sir. That case only 10 and otherwise not accepted.
What's the difference between previous case and this case?
The previous case we have checked all the boundaries, but in this
Okay. Okay. Fine, Chandra Kumari. I'll come back to you with the inputs. Okay. There should be some modification which I have to explain. I'll come back to you. Next word to Durukumalli Manasa. Manasa. Darukumalli Manasa. Sorry. I think you're on mute if you're talking. Go to Naveen Kumar.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. What techniques we can use it for sign up?
Hello.
What techniques we can use for sign up, Naveen?
Technique where like test cases or
No, we discussed the 4 techniques, right? Which is
yeah.
applicable to this one and why?
I think boundary sir.
Okay, what boundary value analysis refers to?
Because we have to give it some particular comments to that, because if we give anything wrong, it will give some errors to us. Hello.
I'm listening. You can continue.
It will give some errors. Like if we want to sign up onto Facebook, if we give some unnecessary comments, like if we give some wrong details, or if we give some we have to go through the particular line. If we go through something like, it will give us some wrong errors. Hello.
Yeah. Continue. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Over to Rudravaram Ramya.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. So what technique that we can use out of 4 here?
Which folder, sir?
Sorry, we have 4 techniques, right?
Yes, sir.
So out of 4, which can be applicable to sign up into Facebook?
Sign up into Facebook. First of all, like boundary values analysis, sir.
Okay.
And after that, using with equivalence classes participating, like valid our mobile verification or.
Okay.
And maybe these both are used, sir. Boundary value and equivalence class.
Okay. Shivaraj Palakurti. Is this the first session that you joined, Shivaraj? Shivaraj Palakurti. Okay, anyone from this group, which technique can be applicable to this one?
Sir, it should be equivalent partitions and error guessing, sir.
Okay.
Error guessing is confirmed, but I was doubting equivalence partition.
Okay, why? What is your analysis behind that?
As a tester can know while entering the details to go step for as a positive or negative, that can be an error guess.
That's fine. Error guessing, I understand why you said, but what is the thought process on telling equivalence class partitioning? Why?
Valid sign up details like phone number. The phone number should be 10 digits, whatever the digit should be.
Okay, sorry.
As is valid or invalid.
1 second. Stop. Sorry. Error guessing is a testing technique, first of all, right? It's not a test case design technique. You cannot mention in the test case saying
function like this, right?
Yes,
Error guessing is a testing technique. It's a functional testing technique. But whenever you are designing the test case, you may have this one, boundary value analysis or equivalence class partition. Between these two, boundary value analysis and equivalence class partition, any one technique should be applicable, or any one or two techniques should be applicable to this functionality, correct?
yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Out of these two, you selected equivalence class partition,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
Why?
sir.
In equivalence class partitioning, what is going to happen?
It should say the number should be valid or not. Whatever the number should be. As we enter the correct number or not.
Okay. Any other points? Fine. Accepted this one, but still for error guessing, what kind of cases that we can guess the errors? What kind of test that we can do?
Okay, sir.
Understood my question?
Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in which cases we may expect errors?
While selecting the gender. And while clicking on next button, sorry, it's not.
Selecting the gender. Okay.
No. Entering the password, sir.
Okay. What kind of testing that you can do in the password field?
If I enter only numbers, it cannot take. If you can enter only characters, it cannot take. It can mix with both, so we can guess the error there. As without entering it. And adding your mail address, we can guess the error there. If you give invalid mail, it cannot take it. These last 2 points.
Anyways. No one? Okay. So one thing, when you explain about boundary value analysis, when I asked this question, so the first person said, I think Chandra Kumari. So boundary value analysis. So I asked why boundary value analysis. Boundary value analysis is something like where you are going to check the valid with all the boundaries and invalid cases as well. But here you said an example related to phone number. If in this phone number case, you are going to validate less than 1 digit, less than 10 digits or greater than 10 digits, this is an invalid case. And another case will be valid one, only one case, you have to enter 10 digits. There is no option, it can accept 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So either you have to enter 10 digits. This is a valid case, only one valid case you have. Invalid case will be if you enter less than or greater than 10, then it's a invalid case. That means it comes under equivalence class partitioning. You are not validating the boundaries of each and every valid case here. Right? So equivalence class partitioning is the technique that you can follow. And then if you are considering the example of phone number and all here, and if you are considering the example of name, first name or last name, then you can go with boundary value analysis. here, but the primary thing will be phone number. If you enter proper phone number, then only you can receive the OTP and you will be able to sign up into Facebook. Otherwise, it won't allow you to sign up. Correct or wrong? But if you consider first name or last name, you can enter three characters or 4 characters. It can accept. Even if you enter 20 characters also, it will accept. Even if you enter whatever the in that case, you can tell boundary value analysis, but specific to the phone number case, what you said, it's something related to equivalence class partitioning. And error guessing is something like where you can enter lengthy data, like let's say password field is accepting phone number field accept 10 digits only, but you are able to enter 20, 30, 40, 50 digits as well. Enter 50 digits. It's an invalid data, junk data. What will happen if you enter 50 digits in phone number field and click on submit? It has to throw alert message, enter valid phone number. Instead of displaying alert message, if it is displaying error, that's a error guessing. That's a kind of guessing what is the error that we have here. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next, for third question, buy Crocs sandals in online. What technique we can use? Anyone?
Error guessing, sir.
Apart from error guessing,
No one can be used.
sorry, no. Without no technique, we cannot design test case. At least one technique will be there.
As a login to that account, we can use it.
No, for Crocs only we can say.
I think equivalency technique.
We can use both.
Yes, sir.
We can use equivalence class partitioning. We can use boundary value analysis. Why? Because if you want to search for a specific brand, I have mentioned here Crocs, right? So if you enter CRO, it will display the results related to Crocs as well. If you enter CROC, it will display the results. If you enter CROCS, it will display the results. Right? So it depends on the number of letters that you have entered. Also, it will display the results. Even if you enter like CROCSH, even if you enter wrong word, it will give you a suggestion saying you entered CROCH. Would you like to search for CROCS? If you click on that particular link, then automatically results will be displayed. What is the invalid case here? If you are not entering any brand name, or if you are entering wrong brand name, then that's an invalid case. Or else minimum 3 characters is required to search a brand like CRO. You have to enter CRO minimum 3 characters. Then it will display the search results. If you enter only 2 CR, then it will not accept. It will display enter minimum 3 alphabets or 3 characters. Likewise, you have to define which technique can be used. You don't know, you simply write the test case in a real time. You are not going to analyze what kind of testing technique that you are following here, but still each and every test case will have at least one test case design technique. Either it might be boundary value analysis or equivalence class partition. Sometimes it may have both. Sometimes it may have both as well, but which one can be prioritized, you have to analyze that based on your functionality or based on your project. You have to think about that. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Arun, did you understand? You said no.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What kind of technique that you have to follow? Likewise, each and every test case will have at least one testing technique that needs to be followed, and it can be allowed you to design the test case by using the same technique. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Our next thing will be a requirement traceability matrix. Requirement traceability matrix. How this requirement traceability matrix can be designed, and how this can be mapped along with the test cases, and how can we use requirement traceability matrix document. So let's see. I'll open one Excel document. So mostly this traceability matrix will be derived in the Excel document only. Okay. And most of the cases, the top content will be something related to project, author, and who designed this, and who reviewed this, and what is the design date, and what is the review date, and what is the latest version of this document. Everything will be provided in top rows, but rest all will be something related to the regular columns. Let me write down here. Project, team, okay. Now serial number, requirement name, requirement number if any, FRS document name, scenario ID, scenario. First we need to have the scenario name, scenario ID, test case name, test case ID, path of the document, status, comments. Okay. These are the required information for us. This document is not so simple what you are seeing on the screen. It will have many more things in the real time. Okay, so it will not this much simple what you are seeing on the screen. Okay, you can color it and you can mark it as bold. So this path of documents is something like where you have stored all the documents in your repository, not in your local system. It should be in your SharePoint or centralized location where everyone can be accessible. That's how you have to maintain requirement traceability matrix. This is to see this document, it's very simple, but to maintain this, it's very complex. Okay, maintenance is very important here. So for maintaining this document, it's very complex kind of thing. Okay, so one more terminology. Here we are talking about mapping of our test scenario or test case to this particular requirement, right? So every scenario will have at least one test case, but in real time, there might be a chance where you are going to design a test case. For those test cases, you might not have the requirement at all. Without requirements also, there are at least 1 or 2 test cases you have to design. Okay, so what are those called? The requirements which doesn't have any mapping or any link or any requirement is called orphaned test cases. The test cases which doesn't have any dependencies, the test cases which doesn't have any requirements, the test cases which doesn't have any mapping criteria, those are called orphaned test cases. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we have few more terminologies that we need to discuss, like regression testing, retesting, usability testing, user-friendly testing, monkey testing, ad hoc testing, alpha testing, beta testing, all these kind of terminology. In tomorrow's session, we will discuss about this terminology, and in day after tomorrow's session, we will discuss about sample application testing. If I'm going to give you the application, how you are going to test it. I'll show you how to test the application in Friday session, and we will wind up manual testing by Friday. Next week, we'll start with test automation.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so if you have any questions, please do let me know. We will discuss those queries in tomorrow's session, and we'll move forward with the rest of the terminology. And in case any practice or practicals, that kind of questions also, tomorrow I'll show you how to create a defect through images only. I can show you even for tomorrow, and I'll guide you how to design the documents and how to maintain that and how to compose an email. These kind of basic tips tomorrow I'm going to give you, and after tomorrow we'll see one application and we'll test it, and we'll move forward with the test automation.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you, guys. So whatever the documents that are pending from your end, assignment related, there are few people, right? So complete it by end of the day and send it to your lead so that at least I'll try to get it. I'm not too sure because I don't have direct contact to them. So I need to get a couple of people contacts, and then I need to get that information. I'll try to get it as soon as possible. Once I receive those documents, we'll have a review session. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.